we wanted our video to be similar to other videos in the pop punk genre, so to do that we looked into a bit of research in the codes and conventions of pop punk, and what we found when we looked at bands such as Green Day, such as Foo Fighters, All Time Low, U-Mid-6, that sort of genre, was that some bands differ quite a lot and some bands stay to the conventions. So one band in particular we looked at was Foo Fighters, and we found that a lot of their videos tend to have the band members dressed in black, and then the lead singer sometimes has an accent clothes on, but most of the time it's plain black and white. And each member of our group took a different band or took a different couple of videos and looked at it and sort of analysed it to see what way we thought our videos should turn out in the end. And then from this we decided what idea we liked best and if we were going to follow the codes and conventions or whether we were going to differ from them. And we decided to follow them because we wanted ours to be obviously a pop punk video telling from the band and from the set itself. Then we also decided to look into the fashion, so what our band members were actually going to wear, and from that, doing the research into the codes and conventions, we saw that people tended to choose black or dark clothing, and a lot of the band members decided to wear makeup. But we decided to not do any of that, and we decided to keep it very normal to sort of emphasise the down-to-earth feel of the band, and just to show that they aren't any different and they've connected with the audience because they look quite similar to them. And then for our setting, we decided not to go with a narrative, but instead decided to just keep it as the live performance theme. We didn't really want a story behind it, because a lot of the videos, when we did research into, we found that we're just the band playing live, or we're just a band playing in a room, or just a band playing anywhere together. So we thought this sort of connected more with what we were looking for with the video. So we kept it very plain. We kept the dark background with the lights and all the simple clothing that the band members were wearing, and we think this turned out really effective because it showed a sort of light-hearted, fun side of the band. They were getting on with each other, having a bit of crack, bit of fun antics happened between them. And we found this really emphasised because this is one of the things we found when we looked into the codes and conventions of pop punk bands, especially during the live performances, or maybe something that was filmed during a live gig or a live show, was that the band members tend to laugh and joke with each other. And we found this could be quite significant because when we looked into some other genres we didn't see this quite as much. So things like classical music and that sort of thing didn't really have any sort of, it was all quite serious on stage. There wasn't any sort of messing about, I suppose, but we found that with pop punk this was definitely one of the things that we wanted to include because it just sort of emphasised what genre it was on top of the clothes and where we were filming. We also decided to use fun sort of colours and lights and effects to keep the video interesting rather than just a dark screen for quite a while. But we wanted to keep the darkness in there because it once again emphasises the punker side of the pop punk coming from older bands such as the Ramones, which tend to be slightly darker before the pop element was brought into it. So we kept the traditional punk element of it as well as the pop, without overbalancing each of them. We wanted to sort of keep it in what the modern genre is now, and pop punk does tend to be an even balance of pop and punk. So you do have the fun, colourful genre to it, but you also do have the darkness in the background, which we thought really helped show what the genre was. For our digipack, we decided that we wanted something that was going to be bright and colourful. Much like the video, we wanted it to be dark elements to it, and we wanted there to be almost angry elements to it, but we also wanted the colour, and we wanted the band members to be laughing and joking and lighthearted and that sort of thing. And then as well with our digipack, we also decided that we wanted it bright and colourful. Also with our website, we decided we wanted it bright and colourful, but most of all we needed it to be easy to navigate because we found a lot of the pop punk websites were easy to navigate. Everything was laid out very clearly, and it slightly emphasised things like where they're playing their next gig and subtle advertising statements. So we sort of wanted to include that, which is why we have that on the first page as what gigs they're coming up to do, what concerts they're going at, where they're playing, is it near you, that sort of thing. And also one thing we found with the bands was that they advertise their music quite a lot on their websites as well as merchandise. So we decided to have a store page where you could go on and buy a t-shirt if you wanted it, buy an album, buy a digital download, because digital downloads are becoming more popular now rather than an actual physical CD that you have to wait on. So we decided to include these kind of elements because when we did research into like Foo Fighters, into Blink-182, into that sort of bands, we found that this was the typical type of website. They did quite a lot of advertising, but they still told you about the band. They still showed you snippets of their music. It was all colourful and light, but there was that dark element to it. And we also decided to include our logo, as most of the bands had that as one of the main things on the website page. So they had a very large logo at the top of the page and then the rest of the information below it. So we thought this was a good sort of representation of the codes and conventions. So in this case we have followed the codes and conventions for the website and the digipack. We've kept them fun and lighthearted, but with that dark element that you do tend to see in pop punk. One of the things I touched on earlier was that we didn't include a storyline. We wanted to keep the video simple and about the music because we found that this is one of the most common things we find in pop punk, especially with bands like All Time Low and You Made Six, and they don't really want to emphasise story or a fact that it's their job. It's about the music to them. And this was the same with our band Carchase City, who are a new and upcoming band. We didn't want anything too ambitious because we felt the song was powerful enough that the band's personalities would have this effect on viewers that you didn't need a story. So we kept that with the codes and conventions that most pop punk bands wouldn't really have a narrative in their story. Some do, but we felt our song worked out better without needing a narrative. We think it might have taken away from the song, so just having the live performance almost enhanced the song at the end. Carchase City's previous videos have been live performances, there haven't been a narrative, so we didn't want to change the band's image. We wanted to keep it the way that we thought the band would like it the most, which is a way that they have currently been working on. So live performances tend to be what they enjoyed or what they used most often. And then challenge the stereotype of independent artists who tend to have a narrative or a storyline in theirs. So we kept the spirit of the genre as almost rebellious but fun and alive, and that's what we were hoping to achieve at the start of it. With the combination of our main product and ancillary texts, the digipack and the website, we wanted to keep a similar theme with on so you could quite clearly tell which band we were talking about. So with our website and the digipack, we went for very, very similar things to the video. We found that using the same sort of darkness with the colour ahead of it enhanced the product, and it kept a similar theme between all of the products, which is what we were aiming for. We kept in the social networks that the band already have, so there were different platforms which are all interconnected and lead to media products about the band, but also help people learn more about the band. So we linked their Facebook page to learn more about the band and upcoming shows and any news that they have. We linked to their SoundCloud page, so you could listen to their music, and we also linked to their Instagram and Twitter so you could see what they were doing on the go, or if they were having any concerts, or if they were travelling, or that sort of thing. And we added all these in a social bar, which is easily accessible from every page. We found this was always something that pop punk bands did, or just any band in general. Trying to get yourself promoted and trying to get more people to know about you, you do tend to include a social bar. The more followers you have, the more Facebook friends you have, the more Instagram followers you have, is the more people that are going to be seeing what you're doing and what you're up to, and the more people who could possibly become interested. So we kept the shattered glass image on both ancillary texts, so it was the same on our digipack as it was on the website, because we liked the idea of the theme running, and it matched with our video in that it was a dark sort of empty room, but there was also that part in the concert or the gig, and it was able to sort of link it all together, because maybe concerts sort of have an idea of anarchy, especially pop punk concerts, and this would sort of bring back the feeling of broken glass, of fights, of that sort of thing, which are quite stereotypical of the pop punk genre, but it was something that we thought that was nice when we added in, and it gave us the effect that we were hoping for and linked everything together. The one shot that we used in particular was the shot of the neck of the guitar acting, which ended up acting as a platform for the digipack and the website, because we feature this image quite a lot. We think it sort of reflected the band, because the band are always playing their instruments. It's something that they always love doing, and it sort of represented the band, so we thought if we included it in all of the platforms, then it would give the idea of fluidity, and it would also give an interconnectivity between all of the platforms. The one thing that we did focus on was a colour scheme, and we thought purple and green tended to be our colour scheme of the band, especially in the video, because these were the lights we saw. So we tended to then move that across the digipack on the website to once again sort of link everything together. We also sort of tied the band into one image and focused on the earlier works of the band, and this was all tailored to accommodate the band as a whole and promote their image, to show you what they've been doing and show you their earlier stuff and show you how they have developed, not only since they started as a band but since we started making their website and their digipack and their video. The one thing we did like about having a colour scheme is people sometimes tend to be triggered by colours. So if you remember a specific colour, it might give you a certain feeling. And we thought that if people saw the green and the purple on the website, they might then think they remembered the digipack, or they might think they remembered the video. And then it might interlink all of their thoughts together and sort of connect it all back to Cartier City and the theme that they had running, which was the purple and green. We found that the ancillary text helped to sort of enhance the video and the band themselves and sort of tie everything together. And once again, back to this idea of interconnectivity, but it did link everything all together and did keep the spirit of the band when everything was up and running, and we were able to connect the video to the website, so when you were on it you were able to see it, and to show everybody the digipack of the digital album that you could download, and it did keep the feel of Cartier City the whole time. We kept it very much with the pop punk genre, and we didn't really challenge any conventions. But we think the overall effectiveness of the main product in this Tricks was very good. We think they linked very well. We think the colour scheme went very well, and we think the three of them tended to match quite well. So from our audience feedback, the first thing we did when deciding on a genre and that sort of thing was we did a survey, and from our survey results we found an entire range of results, but the one thing we found, the most people that we interviewed in our age demographic, which was the age that we were hoping to achieve for in our target audience, tended to like either punk or pop punk, and we decided to slightly more liked pop punk and a slightly more alternative feel rather than the charts and rather than that sort of, genre. So we looked at things like downloads, we looked at things like albums being bought, and we found though downloads were the most popular way of obtaining music. So our first initial thing was to then focus on that as well we could, so that was with the website where we sell a digital download of the album, because that's what people are most drawn to. For this reason, most of our media platforms relied heavily on digital music, like SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of these having areas that you can digitally put music up and people can listen to it without having to buy an album and wait on it to arrive, or going out to buy an album or a CD. The most popular genres were probably rock, alternative and pop punk, but we decided we couldn't do a mix of those three, as the three of them can be quite individual to themselves. So once we had decided on pop punk, we tried to get rid of any other sort of influence from rock and from alternative music, to keep true to the pop punk genre itself, rather than confusing people as to what the band actually were and what their type of music actually was. This also played into the website and played into the digipack. We tried to take sort of heavy rock aspects of it, which tend to be overall very dark, and add those flecks of colour and add the bit in the lights in the video, and this overall tended to give us a much pop punker feel rather than a rock feel, which can be quite dark and quite sad and angry almost, rather than the sort of lively upbeat feeling that the pop punk did. When we showed our audience the final product, the majority felt that we had achieved exactly what we were hoping to set out for. So they liked the video, they liked the digipack, and they liked the website, and they especially liked different shot types that we had. Rather than having a simple shot in front of the person, we decided to use other angles, such as looking through beer cans or looking up at the artist playing their instrument, or even there is one shot where the camera is attached onto the end of the guitar and you can see the guitar player play from the angle looking down from the neck of the guitar. One thing that people tended to be drawn to most was the digipack and the different graphics on it. And the one thing that they also really enjoyed was how easy the website was to navigate, which we were really happy with, because this is one of the main things we took from other bands' websites. You have no confusion getting around it, and it will be usable by all types of audiences. rather than just the younger generation. So we found this was good, as even though it appealed to our target audience, it didn't limit it to our target audience, and anybody else that may be interested in it was able to navigate the website and see the link between our ancillary texts and our websites. So we used media technology in many different ways throughout the various stages. The first probably area of media technologies we used was a website called Survey Planet. And this was where we were able to get feedback from our audience and figure out what we were going to do for our coursework, as well as what we were aiming for with our ancillary texts. We also used products such as Keynote and Final Cut Pro, especially for our editing or making presentations about our genre and what we thought we were going to achieve, and Final Cut Pro to edit the final video and put all our information together. We also used multimedia platforms. For example, we used Facebook to get in contact with the band and also to view the band's Facebook page to get more information about them and to see where we could see them live during our filming process. We also kept updated with their Twitter and their YouTube pages, especially their YouTube, where they posted some videos of recent performances or recent videos that they have made, which then further gave us an idea of what the band was like and what would be a video that they would commonly make and what fit with the band's feel and the band's spirit. We also used various website designing software, so we used ImCreator, ImSoft, a few others, but the one that we settled on was Wix, which was the website that we found best suited our needs for the website. So Wix was brilliant. It had everything that we needed. It had the option to add more pages. It was very easy to navigate, and it had all that we needed to create an effective website that we wanted, as well as having different types of websites for different types of bands. And that was one thing that Wix focused on, was band websites. So we were able to go in and have a look and see which one we thought best fitted with ours, and then edit it to what we were hoping our final website to look like. We also researched other bands through surveys and playlists found off SoundCloud, YouTube and Facebook, and this was good as this gave us an idea of what we wanted our band to sound like, what we wanted our band to look like, if we wanted to fit the codes and conventions of pop punk or if we wanted to challenge them. And we then did research on these and made a PowerPoint using Keynote, which we then presented to our class to get further feedback as to what they thought of our genre. We also used a lot of screenshots that we took, some during the editing process, some during the filming process, and these were on carbonmade.com, which we all have linked to in our blogs. We also used a HD camera for recording, and then we all uploaded it to our Macs, and then that's where we used Final Cut Pro to edit. Another way we used Final Cut was after our initial storyboards were drawn out. We used Final Cut to edit our storyboards together to get a basic idea of what we wanted to look like, which is also a video that's on our blog. One of the main technologies that helped, and one of the main social websites, was SoundCloud, because not only was this great for music for our band, it was great for music for other bands that we found similar, and it also helped us do research into less known areas of the pop punk genre, so bands that maybe not necessarily everybody thinks about once they hear pop punk. And this was good because our band is an up and coming band, so this means that we weren't limited to the bands that got famous. We were limited to the bands who are making music and who are producing, and who are out there that would be more like our band than the band that you sometimes end up seeing on YouTube and other such places. Another main product that we used was Photoshop. This was great as this is where we created our digipack, and we were able to use a range of effects and a range of brushes and a range of images that we had taken to mix together and create the perfect image that we wanted, as well as using different fonts to play about with the logo, and then which logo we ended up using was put onto our website through Wix. And really we wouldn't have been able to make our digipack without Photoshop. It was perfect for what we were looking for, and even though we did a bit of research into other products beforehand, we found that Photoshop was the best, and it gave us everything that we wanted to achieve. We also used Illustrator. It was one of the other products we used in relation with Photoshop. Another thing that we did is we used Google to look at other digipacks from other bands. So we looked at Avril Lavigne, the Ramones, and then back to Blink-182, Green Day, Foo Fighters, the typical bands that we ended up looking at. But this was good as it gave us an idea for what we wanted our digipack to look like. We were then able to put ours together and get an idea as to whether it fit the genre or not, and it did take some playing about But eventually, once we narrowed down what we wanted to do and how we wanted to match the codes and conventions, we were able to make a successful digipack that we thought fit in very well with our website and through our video. Without media technologies, we would not have been able to achieve this. Some more than others. For example, Wix, Photoshop and SoundCloud were the main three that we probably used, and they were a great help. The main three that we probably used were Wix, Photoshop and SoundCloud. These were a phenomenal help. SoundCloud for the music, Wix for the website and Photoshop for the images, because they were so good in just helping us create our ancillary texts, and especially Final Cut Pro for making our video, because it had the perfect editing software and it was everything that we needed it to do. So we found that having all the right software definitely benefited our end product, and we hope that shows.